Hey, and welcome everybody. I'm your host, Jim Masters. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show live entertainment lifestyle talk show series. Good to have you with us. It is Saturday night. This is our second show of the day. Double levity for everybody watching. Earlier, just a couple of hours ago, we welcomed live and direct from the Emerald Isle, beautiful Ireland, our good friend from Celtic Thunder and Byrne and Kelly, Irish singer, songwriter, musician, Neil Byrne. And we had a really cool time with Neil. He played live for us as well. We caught up on his life and his experiences. And it was the second time he was a special guest on our Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. So if you got a chance to see that episode, I'm glad you enjoyed it. If you didn't, it is available in the archives at Jim Masters TV on our YouTube channel. As a matter of fact, we would love it if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification bell so you don't miss any of the amazing content we have waiting for you. Exciting daily episodes of the Jim Masters Show live entertainment lifestyle talk show series, and also our visual and verbally inspiring video series called Masters Mantras that we do as well. Good to have you with us. We have an international audience of viewers from all around the world, the United States, Canada, Europe, Asia, Australia. We welcome each and every one of you to our Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. We're sort of harkening back to the old school way of doing talk shows, warm, welcoming, and inviting atmosphere, kind of like Dick Cavett, Mike Douglas, Merv Griffin, Steve Allen, Dick Clark, Johnny Carson, if you may remember some of those hosts and presenters, the legends, and taking some of that warmth and inspiring conversation, part of the way I like to do things anyway, and blending it with a modern twist and modern vibe of today with variety and guests that come from Broadway, Hollywood, television, film, music, international guests as well, guests from the culinary arts, sports, comedy, inspiration, and so much more. We have great host and viewer conversations. We call them Levity Chats. We go on location. And again, all of this is sprinkled with light, love, and levity, or as we've coined here on the Jim Masters Show Live, when I slipped up and said the word levity, we sprinkle in some levity. And I tell you, the world needs a little bit of couple of doses of levity about now, doesn't it? So people say that wasn't an accidental word. That was meant to be, Jim, that you came up with the word levity. And it really does match the vibe of our show, regardless the topic, the scenario, the guest, because every episode of our Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series is something fresh and something different. We always learn. We always have a good time, positive vibes. We're always educated, and we're always entertained as well. So we welcome all of you, and we toast all of you all around the world, you and you and you and you. We always toast you in style, and it's always a pleasure to have you here. Our viewers, or Levities, part of our Levity squad. They call me Mr. Levity. They call this Levity Hall. Very interactive. So if you're watching live right now, we encourage you to post and say hello. You can do that live on a YouTube channel right now. If you're just kicking back and watching the episode, that is perfect as well. We love that. We have an extraordinary guest joining us live from Los Angeles, California. A real honor and a pleasure to welcome George Chakiris to the show. He's an American treasure, actually, when it comes to dance, when it comes to acting, and so much more. He's an Academy Award-winning dancer and actor, Golden Globe-winning performer as well, and so much more. As a matter of fact, we're having a wonderful chat just before we went live on air, and he's got the Oscar right next to him, and he also has a beautiful memoir that we're going to talk about, harkening back to the West Side Story days. Yes, of course, I'm sure you remember him well as Bernardo in West Side Story. And as soon as I mentioned that George was coming on the show, you guys were like, oh my God, I love him, love him. Absolutely. He is a national treasure. Remember him also in White Christmas too. There's no business like show business. Gentlemen prefer blondes, and so much more. There's Marilyn Monroe, of course. He really is extraordinary, and he comes from great stock. His mother's father, his grandfather, his mother's side, lived to 108. His mother, 104. Could you imagine that? Absolutely. And of course, garnering the wonderful Oscar as well. There is the book, My West Side Story. It's a wonderful memoir, something you're definitely going to want to pick up, by George Chakiris. Really opens up about the experiences, some of the others that you, of course, know, the legends from Hollywood, and so much more. We're going to talk about the book. He does have the book there in front of him. He's going to join us in just 2 seconds. First, let's just do a quick hello. We always love to say hello to some of the viewers, our lovelies watching around the world. Good to have you with us on a Saturday night on the Jim Masters Show Live. Tell a friend we're on right now and share the lovity. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. Willie is watching in Holland, the Netherlands. I already told George about lovity, and he says, bring it on. I love lovity. So she goes, my Bernardo. Oh, I was so in love with him. Good way to begin. Good way to begin. Willie goes, dear Jim and Lovelies, enjoy this show again today. A piece of my childhood. Absolutely. And of course, we welcome you. Nan Milligan says hello. Evening, Jim. To you as well, Nan. Watching. Julia Crane, who's with us twice today. We love that. Hi, Jim from Tennessee. I am here. Good to see you, Julia. Mary Bishop watching from Florida, USA. Good evening, Jim and lovely friends. Nice to have you here. Merlin watching in Ontario, Canada. Hi, Jim and all lovelies again. Good to see you, Merlin. Crystal Nolan is watching in Connecticut, USA. Hi, Jim and everyone. Happy Saturday. And I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. Looking forward to an epic show with inspiring conversation and levity. You got it. Absolutely. RV Deb's Journey is here. What a special memory for me. Welcome. Good to have you with us. Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure having you here. Soraya is here. Hi, Jim. Nice to see you as well. Oh, the photos I just showed are melting your heart there in the Netherlands, huh, Willie? Well, guess what? I have him here too. You're funny. Good to have you with us, and you're popping in, Karen, from Nova Scotia as well. Mona watching from Louisiana, USA. Hi, Jim and all lovelies. Love that shirt you have on. That color looks great on you. Actually, it's a nice sort of royal blue turtleneck, and it's got little speckles of black in it. It's a thin turtleneck. It's not a very heavy one, because it is springtime here on the East Coast, so nothing too heavy, but nice and comfortable. I always love sweaters. Christine Clifton watching from North Carolina, and she says, happy World Theater Day, Jim. Yes, George and lovely friends, welcome dancer, actor George Chakiris to the show tonight. Lovity Hall will be exciting with George with us tonight. Absolutely. You got a chance to meet George. It was sheer pleasure. So handsome. That is fantastic. Linda says, good evening, George. You're now a lovity. And you and your son in Nova Scotia, Karen, just watched West Side Story last week. That is amazing. And good evening, George. He's now a lovity as well. Well, we are going to go through some more of these, and we'll make sure we get some of your, Nan is very excited, some of your comments shown. Sharon is watching from Toronto. Thank you very much. Very, very nice to have you here as well. And we're going to welcome George. Join me in welcoming him exclusively here to the Jim Masters Show Live. Kathy Short there in Cleveland. Sunny fun day. Hello, Jim and lovely family. She's here again. Juanita watching in South Africa. Hello, Jim and lovely squad. Great to see everyone once again as well. We'll continue to take a look at some of these wonderful comments coming in. But first, won't you join me in welcoming again a wonderful dancer, actor, and I said a real treasure, Academy Award winner, as well as Golden Globe winner. He is extraordinary, perhaps best known internationally for his role of Bernardo in West Side Story. In 2012, he received what many referred to as the highest honor in Hollywood. His hand and foot prints were placed in cement for all history in connection with the 50th anniversary of the classic film West Side Story, which he starred in, of course, with Rita Moreno and all the rest. That premiered at Grauman's over 50 years ago. He was born in Ohio, the son of Stephen and Zoe Chakiris. They were immigrants from Greece, graduate of the American School of Dance. He recalls the early days of passing the Grauman's Chinese Theater, where the world's most glamorous people were seen, never thinking that one day he would be attending his own premiere for West Side Story, and for which he received the Golden Globe and an Academy Award. Eventually, in 2011, he would have his hand and footprints placed in the famous forecourt among those whom he had idolized. Of course, you know, he made his film debut in the chorus of Song of Love. Later, he appeared in several small roles, usually as a dancer or a member of the chorus in various musical films. One of the dancers in Marilyn Monroe's Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. That number in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, released in 1953, again appeared as a dancer alongside Rosemary Clooney in White Christmas. In Love, You Didn't Do Right by Me. In 1961, his biggest success came with the film West Side Story, for which he won those awards. And as leader of the Sharks, he also appeared as Riff, leader of the Jets in the West End in London. Starred as a doctor in the film Diamond Head, released in 1963, opposite Charlton Heston. In 1967, also alongside Gene Kelly in wonderful performances as well over the years. I tell you, he's absolutely amazing. If you just look back at his extraordinary career, the book, as I mentioned, is a wonderful memoir, and we're going to talk more about that. But first, let me welcome live and direct from Los Angeles, California, our extraordinary honorary guest here, George Chakiris. George, thank you very much for joining us here live on the Jim Masters Show Live.
Hey, Jim, thank you. Great to hear you. I didn't shave, I'm sorry.
Hey, I didn't either. I guess it's pandemic, right?
Yeah, that's right.
We can get away with it.
Yeah, thank God.
Well, we toast you, we welcome you, and we thank you for all that you have provided us over the years in terms of your extraordinary prowess when it comes to dance and acting. Absolutely amazing. I'd love to go back just a little in time to see maybe early in life for you, George, some of those inspirations that maybe pointed you in the direction of the arts, of theater, of performance, of dance, and of acting. Was that within the family, or were you the breakout within the family?
You know, I was the breakout. It wasn't in the family. I have I had 4 sisters and two brothers, and one of my sisters, Catherine, who was just 5 years older than me, she also loved dancing, and we used to dance in the living room together and have a ball that way. But we were the only ones who went in that direction with the total support of our family. Nobody thought it was crazy. They said, "Good for you, go for it," you know.
That's fantastic. So tell us about some of when they said go for it, and you decided, okay, I'm going to take that leap and I'm going to make those marks along the way. What were some of those choices you made, and maybe some early opportunities that came your way, pointing you in the direction that you followed, George?
Well, there are different things that make a big difference, of course, circumstance. But when I was in high school, I went to Woodrow Wilson High School in Long Beach, California. And there was a girl in school, Joan Scanlon, who was a dancer. I was crazy about Joan. And I partnered her some dance with her for some high school assemblies, that kind of thing. It was Joan who told me about the American School of Dance in Hollywood, on Hollywood Boulevard, 7021. I still remember the address. And she said, Sid Charisse and Leslie Caron take class there. Well, that's all I had to hear. So I took the train from Long Beach to watch a professional class at 11:30 one morning. Nobody famous in class. Didn't matter to me. I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I got a job downtown at the May Company downtown as an office boy in the advertising department. And I worked during the day, 8 to 5 every day, and took class, started taking class at 2 classes every night. And that was my introduction to dancers who already were working in movie musicals. Singing in the Rain was the big one at the time. So that was my first solid introduction to show business, as it were. Yeah.
That is fantastic. And then you started to get noticed, and people started to pay heed to your talent. So you would say the first thrust for you was as the dancer. You had this real thirst and love for dance, huh?
Yeah. Yes. You know, where we lived, there was I didn't know what theater was. I never got to see theater because I didn't know it existed. But we certainly knew about movies. We always went to movies every weekend. That was what I couldn't wait to do, was to go to a movie. And the movies that I always seemed to appreciate most were movie musicals, where you would see the beautiful girl and the beautiful guy, everybody dancing, beautiful sets, beautiful orchestration, beautiful floor, very reflective floor. So I fell in love with movies that way, like a lot of young people do, never thinking anything would ever happen, but just I fell in love with that world, when I was maybe 5 years old or something, starting at about that time.
Did you get involved in school plays and things of that nature along the way too, where you're in the theater department as well?
Well, in high school, again, I did a couple of high school assemblies, partnering my good girlfriend, Joan Scanlon. She was a beautiful dancer. And she and I went on to Long Beach City College after high school. And we did attend, we were involved with the arts at the City College, acting classes, that kind of thing. So but I was only involved as a student. I was never anything more.
So again, the dance really something that you excelled at, and the acting coming along as well. What was when you're there in Los Angeles and in Hollywood, what would you consider the big break for you? The one thing that really happened to you that you look back at and say, thank God that happened. That was the pivotal moment in my life that opened up the door to all these other wonderful opportunities.
Well, I'll tell you, there have been different sort of breakthroughs, so to speak, along the line, all of them really good and meaningful. But ultimately, the biggest door that opened was, of course, being in the film version of West Side Story, playing Bernardo, because it was worldwide. It was such a tremendous success worldwide. And so it was playing Bernardo in the film that really opened, I'll say, a big door, although up and before the time I was in the film of West Side Story, there were other nice doors that were opened along the way too. But ultimately, it was the film of West Side Story that made a huge, not just for me, but for anyone connected with the film in any way, shape, or form. That was a huge happening for everybody.
Absolutely. You were in this too, right? The 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, that was my first job as a dancer. I was taking class at the American School of Dance, and Eugene Loring, who it was his school, was choreographing that film. And he needed 60 male dancers for a sequence, a musical sequence in the film. Tommy Reddick, the young boy, he's having to take piano lessons, which he hates. And so the sequence is in a dungeon, and all the musical instruments, we were all painted green every day because it was a nightmare. I was a trombone. But one of the things, I remember that set. I remember Mr. I remember what we all looked like, because again, we were sprayed green, literally sprayed green every morning. And I remember the size of that camera was huge. And it was just exciting to be on a film set, although it was a different kind of musical number than the ones that I loved when I was a kid watching them. It wasn't Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. It was a fantasy sequence in the 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T. But it was all of those times working as a chorus dancer in any of the movies that I was a chorus dancer in were just beautiful, beautiful times. I loved every minute, really every minute of it.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great first opportunity. Of course, then you have this wonderful opportunity to be in another classic, a beloved classic. And you and I were just talking. I was saying that all of these films, these opportunities that came along the way, and you're illustrious and well earned, because none of this comes easy. You worked very, very hard. You've earned everything that you've received through acting, through dancing. I mean, the blood, sweat, and the tears, the hours of sacrifice, the time put in, the movement, the travel, all of it. It doesn't. Wow. The key is we all make all of this look so easy and effortless because we want to take people away from their daily lives. But behind the scenes, a lot of work. So these extraordinary opportunities that you've had to be a part of what you and I were talking about before we went live on the air, these American treasures and we'll talk about West Side Story in just a second, but the opportunity to be in White Christmas, Tell us about how that happened. You are, of course, with the wonderful Rosemary Clooney.
Well, again, the choreographer for White Christmas was Robert Alton. There were three choreographers that we got to work for in Los Angeles. That in all the dances, especially wanted to work for these particular choreographers. One was Robert Alton, who did White Christmas. The other one was Michael Kidd, and who's the third one? Jack Cole. But Robert Alton choreographed all of White Christmas. I auditioned for him like everybody else did, and I was in a big production number called The Mandy Number, which featured the four stars of the film: Vera Ellen, Bing Crosby, Rosemary Clooney, and Danny Kaye. And Vera Ellen was partnered by a wonderful dancer whose name was Johnny Brascia. He partnered Vera Ellen in The Mandy Number. So we rehearsed and filmed The Mandy Number, and then the word was out that somewhere down the line, Rosie was going to do a number of just four guys, and so all of us wanted to be one of those four guys, I got to be one of the four guys in that number with Rosie Clooney, and that was talk about little breakthroughs along the way. That being in that number with Rosie was a kind of a little bit of a breakthrough because there were just four of us. We were noticed, and girls paid attention to us.
Yeah.
And so it was that led to girls writing letters and so on. It was that led to my contract at Paramount in 1955. It was because of that. And the producer of White Christmas, Robert Emmett Dolan, was getting letters, and he thought, let's pay attention to this young guy and test him. And they did, and I was under contract to Paramount for a while as well.
Mm. Did you ever do any modeling along the way? I mean, you definitely had a certain look.
I never crossed my mind.
They never nabbed you. Never nabbed you for that.
No.
so busy with everything else.
Really, yeah.
Oh my God! And then, of course, this wonderful number with Marilyn Monroe and Gentlemen's Prefer Blondes.
Yeah.
Tell us about this. Another epic treasure.
Well, I think my favorite credit is being able to say that I was one of the guys behind Marilyn Monroe in that number in that movie. I mean, it's how many of us can get to say that, you know?
Yes.
And by the way, the choreographer for that number, for that film, was Jack Cole, one of the three choreographers I mentioned earlier. Jack Cole was Marilyn's favorite choreographer. She wanted him for everything, and she got him for everything too. So we rehearsed that number for about 4 weeks so Jack Cole could create the number. And it took about 3 days to film until 9 o'clock at night on the third day. And one of the things that I remember, I didn't think of it at the time because we're all just doing what we're supposed to do. She was beautiful. But the thing, she was very quiet. And if they yelled cut for any reason, she didn't look in the mirror. She didn't go to her dressing room. She went right back to her starting position, just like we did. She went right back to her starting position, start again. That's how concentrated she was and dedicated she was to her work. And I love that about her.
That's incredible because you get a chance to really work with people who, know the way it's supposed to be done. Time is money, and there's a lot to be taken care of quickly like that. And then another epic. I mean, it's epic after epic. There's no business like show business. Tell us about getting involved with that one. Another classic.
Well, again, I was one of the dancers in town who got to audition for this No Business Like Show Business, all of it, with the exception, ultimately, of one number. All of it was choreographed by Robert Alton, who's the same man who choreographed everything in White Christmas. He also did Easter Parade, lots of the MGM things. He was huge. All the kids just loved working for him. One of the beautiful things about him, too, is he knew everybody's name. So you didn't feel like just a dancer. You were contributing to what was going on. Everybody loved him. And he was contracted, of course, to do all the numbers in that film. And for the Heat Wave number, Marilyn wanted Jack Cole, who had choreographed Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. And what Robert Alton did for her, he staged a Heat Wave number for her. He had a girl stand in to learn what Marilyn had to do, and in that number, there were 4 guys, and I was one of the 4 guys in that number. It was never filmed, but it was the number that he created for her, for the heat wave number. So we rehearsed it, and finally, after about 4 weeks or so, he was ready to show the number to Marilyn, and she came in again by herself, very quietly, very courteous, very polite, and we did the number for her, and Jack Cole ended up doing the number that was you actually see in the film, the heat wave number. So she got her way, and she was right, because the heat wave number in No Business Like Show Business is another great Jack Cole number, and she's amazing in it,
Yeah. I mean, and of course, West Side Story, you've done it all in terms of whether it's dancing, acting, film, stage. You were in LA first, in Hollywood first, and then you went to the East Coast and got involved in Broadway and the stage world in New York too. Tell us about that period of your life, George.
Well, about I think it was 1958, early 1958. Work for dancers in Los Angeles was kind of not happening because movie musicals had pretty much come to an end. Little happening on television. So I had some friends who had already made the move to New York long before me. So I bought a one-way ticket to New York, and I had some friends who put me up on the couch in their living room. So I had a place to stay. And the 2 girls, Marianne McKay and Drusilla Davis, my great friends, they knew everything that was going on in New York, everything. And again, it was just lucky timing. At literally a month after I got there, they told me they were auditioning for replacements for the New York company of West Side Story. They'd been playing just a year and forming a London company for West Side Story. So I got to audition to read for Jerry Robbins pretty soon thereafter. He first asked me to look at the role of Bernardo, which I did, and he was rehearsing Ballets USA at the Alvin Theater. So during his lunch break, I got to go in and audition for him. So I read Bernardo, and then he asked me to look at the role of Riff. And in the theater version, "Cool" is sung by Riff. So, as opposed in the film where it's sung by a character called Ice, beautifully done by Tucker Smith. So they gave me the sheet music "Cool" to learn. I worked with the pianist on that for 10 days or so, and then went back to the Alvin Theater again to audition for Jerry, again this time for the role of Riff, singing "Cool." And on my birthday, November 16th, my birthday, September 16th, sorry, my birthday, Ruth Mitchell, who was the stage manager for West Side Story, called me and told me that I had the role of Riff in the London company. And I also had 7 checks from my California unemployment, $35 each. Really welcome.
Yes.
So it was a fantastic birthday. Yeah.
Oh boy, September 16th. You're a Virgo.
Yep, that's right.
That's it. So what was it like being a part, and I know it's a question you've probably been asked many, many times over your, years, being a part of this epic. I mean, you really got a chance to show your extraordinary dance prowess, your talent, your ability, your understanding of the character as well, and the way you brought it out. You just really epically did that. I mean, it's something people continue to refer to and reference to, even other dancers and other performers, not just the acting part, but the dancing as well. What was that like, being a part of that? And of course, with Rita Moreno and so many other greats as well. Yeah.
Well, before the film, of course, I got to play at the theater. Play Riff in the theater version in London.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't know, I was a West Coast dancer, so I didn't know anything about the East Coast. So I had never heard of Jerome Robbins. I didn't know who he was, and of course it didn't matter. But the thing about West Side Story, the theater, working in the theater, playing Riff for him, and also being cast in the film as Bernardo, To me, the strongest connection and the most important person for me is Jerry Robbins. I think probably for all of us. And I've always thought, I don't have any proof, but I've always thought it was Jerry who had the imagination to cast me first as Riff and then finally as Bernardo in the film. So he was extraordinary. He was just so amazing to work for and to work with. And I'm eternally grateful to him. I think as we all should be. And also one of the things I always like to say about the movie of West Side Story, first of all, it was Jerry Robbins' idea to do it in the theater to begin with. So everybody who's ever connected with, in the film version of West Side Story, has to thank Jerry Robbins without question. And of course, his contribution, it couldn't have been the same without him.
Right.
So I'm sorry, that's a long answer to the question, but when to me, West Side Story is him.
Yes.
Yeah.
What, with the film version, what was it like? What were the days like? How much intense work and practice and rehearsal and takes and all had to happen for it to be just right for you and for everybody else?
Well, intense is a good word. It was intense. I remember the first time I met Rita was the first day of rehearsal for the film here in Los Angeles. And I had been given a leave of absence of 10 weeks from the theater version to come to here to do the film version. But I was here for 8 months. It took a while. We rehearsed everything you see in the film version of West Side Story, every scene, every number, every dance sequence, everything was rehearsed thoroughly in a rehearsal hall in Los Angeles before filming ever started. And after that long process of quite a few months, finally the guys went to New York for the prologue, the opening sequence, which it was just the guys. The girls were not in it. And so the first thing we filmed for West Side Story was in fact the prologue, which was filmed in New York. It was hard work, but it was work that we absolutely loved. We had a great time. We played around, we laughed, we joked, we did all of that. But there was such an energy in doing that, and everybody. I mean, you could feel it. It was so beautiful, and
like a family, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we are a family. We've been a family ever since. All of us. We all have remained friends over the years. I'm godfather to her daughter, so we know each other pretty well. Yes.
Yeah, and you stay in touch, and you guys played off each other so well. Here's a beautiful shot of the two of you. Look at the love there, huh?
Yeah,
and she's a treasure too, isn't she, Rita Moreno? She's vim and vigor and vitality and humor and just
all of that and more. She's tremendous. She really is tremendous, and she's so funny too. I have a wonderful time when I see her. She's a relative. She's she's family. I mean, I really love her.
Yeah, look at the way she's hanging on to you and you're hanging on to her. That is love. That is like family. That truly is.
Yeah.
There was somebody else too that you had an opportunity to work with, and your presence graced each other's company in performances and things of that nature. And that was Natalie Wood. Tell us about Natalie Wood and working with her and what that experience was like for you, George.
Well, she was great. I have to remind her, she was all of 23.
Yeah.
and she was an experienced professional actress because she started when she was a kid, and she was a huge movie star. When she came on board, it's like it was nothing to do with her behavior. She was gentle, gracious, kind, and friendly, but you just knew there was a movie star in the room. She was just so intelligent, and again, she was just a gorgeous actress. But she was a very, very sweet person. She engaged in a conversation with all of us. I mean, there was no difference. She was just one of the crowd, so to speak. But she she was one of the things that I've always loved about Natalie in anything she ever did was her personal quality, which I think enhanced everything that she did and made her performances much more beautiful for us. She had a beautiful, what I call a personal quality, not just personality, but a personal quality that is you couldn't. I think I wouldn't try to define it, but it's an important. It can be a very important part of an actor or an actress's time on the screen, on the stage. It's a thing. It kind of sets her apart and she's more beautiful because of it. You know.
A real, true, honest authenticity and likability and relatability as well, wouldn't you say?
Thank you. That you put it so much better than I just did. You've got it. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That's exactly. Cindy goes, George, were you 10 when you started dancing professionally? You must be 45 now.
A little, yeah. I think yes. No, I'm 47.
Yeah, 47. That's right, 47. I just wanted to show you a couple of wonderful comments that have come in here as well. Remember, I mentioned all the levity that the show has, and all the warmth and welcoming. And we've got comments that are coming in here from literally all around the world. Coming in from the Poconos, even the Poconos. Sharon is here saying hello. She subscribed to our YouTube channel. We love that. And some of these other great comments coming in here, I think that are really great. Gary is saying hello as well.
Gary.
He welcomes you. He's in Iowa, USA. Hello from Toronto as well. And Rev or RV Deb's Journey. I met George years ago. We watched West Side Story, 1971. George and I shared the sofa in 1971.
Well, yeah, I'm sure.
I was going to say, yeah, that's cool. Really amazing. Hello, welcome, George from Nova Scotia as well.
Wow.
Really, really fantastic. And let's see, we have more coming in here. Mona welcomes you as well from Louisiana, and she loves the show from Toronto. Merlin in Canada says, welcome, George, to Levity Hall. You're now a Levity. So
I love it.
I was telling you, Oscars, Emmys, Tellys, Peabodys, Grammys, Tonys, all these wonderful things one can earn from their, expertise and their excellence. But an Academy Award for you, Golden Globe for you. How does it feel to get a Levity on the Jim Masters show?
It feels great. It's I love that word, by the way, levity. It's it's very descriptive, and I love that your fans know that word as well. I just thought about it. What's that song from My Fair Lady? Wouldn't it be levity?
Right.
That just came to mind. Yeah.
See, exactly. And Christine welcomes you as well to Levity Hall, and she's in North Carolina. Linda Odell in Florida says you are now a Levity as well. And you actually have, Christine adds here, George, welcome to the show. We're so thrilled to have you here in Levity Hall. You are a legend and now a Levity. Fountain Chain 126 says, oh my God, George, hello from Ireland.
Oh my God, yes.
I love your Oscar speech.
Yeah.
The speech that was given. That's a good segue to that evening. What was that evening like for you? That's a stunning, a very handsome, classy picture of you, my friend.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you, it was a great evening. The car picked me up first. Rita and I attended the awards together. Car came and got me. Then we went to Rita and we got her. And as she was getting in the car, she said, I'm practicing my loser's face. So we drove to the awards, all the cameras and all that kind of stuff. But it was a fantastic evening. And the beautiful part of the movie is we both were fortunate that night. And because we attended together and we were fortunate together, it was an awesome evening and a really beautiful evening altogether. We had the most wonderful time.
And you actually have the Oscar right there next to you, don't you?
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to move it over? Or, let's see, where is he? I'm not good at this, am I? Oh, there it is. Okay.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. He's heavy.
Put it more towards the center in front of you so they could see it.
Okay.
Yeah, a little, yeah, and then lift it a little higher so they can see that beautiful. Look at that.
There we go.
That looks exactly now like then.
It's the same one.
There you go. Then and now, no change. Is that heavy? Probably people asking, is that heavy?
It's very heavy. That's one of the, when somebody says, can I hold that? The first thing they say is, oh my God, it's so heavy. They're impressed by the weight. It's such a beautifully designed award. It's beautiful to look at. The figure and it's a great design. And it's kind of, I usually have it on a shelf, and I don't see it every day by any means. So just looking at it now kind of reminds me how nice it is to have it.
Right, exactly. Well earned. And what was that for you personally? What was that evening like, knowing all of the hard work, all of the years put in, and then also your family, your mother, your father, the family seeing their son get this award, knowing all of the years and toil, the pride back home must have been extraordinary for the family.
Well, it was, again, because my family was always so supportive, and they were happy for anything good that happened to me. And of course, this was sort of the ultimate kind of evening in any performer's life in a way. But none of that crossed my mind in the evening. It was just a heady kind of experience that was floating on air, so to speak. In terms of, I'm so glad you mentioned my family and how my family felt. Because my parents, my father especially, was so proud, and I was so glad that I was able to do something that made him feel that way. Because my father was a great human being. He was just wonderful. So I was really pleased that I was able to do something for them. But the evening itself was just. It's kind of a blur, it's hard to my best way of trying to describe the anticipation was that if you bought a lottery ticket, no way would you think you're going to win, but somewhere you kind of hope you might. It was that kind of feeling. And then when Rita and I, both our names were called, I mean, we both were just, on cloud, whatever. But again, the thing that made that evening so beautiful was the fact that we were such good friends. We've been good friends ever since. But the fact that we were attended together it couldn't have been a more perfect evening for either of us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, continued congratulations on that. Well deserved, beautiful honor there. And then there was the Golden Globes as well, and beautiful photo of the two of you there. Tell us about that evening and winning that.
Well, that happened, as I recall, before the Oscar.
Yeah.
And I remember, of course, Janet Leigh being there, and I don't remember if she presented me with it or not. I remember Shirley MacLaine was there at the table with us as well. It was, the Oscars were in a theater at the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium, and I guess we all know that the Golden Globes it's always a dinner, which is really kind of nice. So I remember this lovely, sweet Janet Leigh, and I remember Shirley being there as well, because I got to know Shirley a little bit and ran into her at different times in different parts of the world as well, and she was always really kind and included me in things that she was doing. But the goal, the goal is it's the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, and it's just another great evening. One of the evenings it just came to mind. I think it was that same night. Marilyn Monroe was given a special Golden Globe, and she was at a big table over here, just to my left, with Rock Hudson, and I was at a table with Janet Leigh. So I was within shooting distance of Marilyn Monroe again, but I didn't speak to her. But it was again just another time to have been in the same space as Marilyn Monroe. Yeah, yeah.
A couple of people asked, what was it like working with her? Was she personable? Was she friendly? Marilyn Monroe on set
Well,
when you guys were there?
well, I'll tell you, she was quiet and she was concentrated on her work. So that she was never unfriendly, but she didn't waste energy being friendly, so to speak, because that was not what it wasn't about being friendly. It was about the work, and I think that's the thing that mattered most to her, mattered most to everybody. So she didn't. I put it's being friendly is never a waste of energy, but sometimes it can be. It's a distraction, and she never did that. She was always quiet and very concentrated.
A real professional and
Yeah,
making
yeah,
sure
yeah,
the job got done. And
absolutely, yeah.
the with West Side Story, with your involvement with it, the film specifically, is there anything that perhaps maybe the audience isn't aware of, that maybe like some behind the scenes things, or anything in terms of what the shooting was like and the schedule and the setting that might intrigue the viewers watching around the world right now?
Well, one of the things that comes to mind again, Jerome Robbins. Jerome Robbins was co-directing the film with Robert Wise, and of course Jerry had directed the theater versions and created he created West Side Story to begin with. But Robert Wise was a consummate filmmaker, and Jerry was a theater man. So working on the film, Bob was sort of like a father figure in the back, I'll say, but Jerry was on the floor actually working closely with us, and I thought that was a really good thing because, to me, Jerry's heart and soul were the passion that we all felt working on that piece. So that's one of the things that I remember. And I don't know how far it was into the filming, but a good amount of the filming had taken place, and Jerry Robbins was fired. And I thought to myself, what was that like for him? He created this piece,
Yeah.
and now he's fired. But I've always thought that they fired him. They waited till they had everything on film.
Yeah.
I'm not quite that calculated, of course, but it was safe to quote unquote fire him because they had everything and more that they already needed. So I don't know if an audience is interested in something like that or not.
Yeah.
But and also Richard Beymer's first day in front of a camera during the film was the day after Jerry was gone. So he was never directed on film by Jerry Robbins. So he missed that opportunity, not his fault. So I hate to say this about Natalie because I loved her, but and she would probably joke about it now. But for some reason, she wanted someone else to play that role. She either wanted Robert Wagner or Warren Beatty. That was the story. And so, and they had their most important scenes are with each other. You know, tonight and the balcony scene. It's just Maria and Tony, and she didn't speak to him. So Richard Beymer is working with an actress who doesn't speak to him. It's his first day in front of a camera. He's missing Jerry Robbins. Jerry's not there. And Robert Wise, God bless him, and he was so fantastic. But Bob, as a director, really basically never said anything to anybody. So one of the things that there was a wonderful acting coach, New York acting coach called Sandy Meisner. And Richard knew him. And every night, Richard would be on the phone talking to Sandy Meisner, because that was the only access to help that he could get. So here was this wonderful young actor, so talented, so good, working on this big movie and reaching out for help, but wasn't getting it on the floor. I don't know if people need to know that or not, but I always feel I want to come to Richard's defense because he deserves it, and he's so beautiful in the film.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And a lot of people might not be aware of that, and it's very kind of you to come to his defense at the same time. The memoir. This is, when you take a moment to write a memoir, it's quite a thing. What was the source of inspiration for you to say, you know what, I want to put pen to paper. I want to tell these stories. I want to share this with the world and those who would be interested in consuming it. And you came up with this. What was the inspiration first, where you said, now is the time, let's do this?
Well, I guess it was kind of like now is the time. Over the years when you're socializing with friends and people, everybody has a little story to tell. And every once in a while, if I would tell a little story about something that happened, somebody would inevitably say, you should write a book. That's a nice story.
Yes.
But I never did it. But in last 2.5 years or so, I met a wonderful writer who's the writer on this book with me, Lindsay Harrison. I got to know Lindsay, and Lindsay has done other books. She did the Tippi Hedren's book. I know Tippi; it's a great book. So Lindsay and I just socializing, and because she was a writer, it was her idea. She said, "You should do this. You should do this," and I was too shy to do it. So, but I took the bait, so to speak, and thought, yeah, why not? It would be fun. It'd be nice to go back and revisit things and remind myself of different things that I don't remember anymore, that I've pretty much forgotten. But I was reminded in the course of writing the book of a lot of things that just didn't come to mind on an everyday basis. So that's how it happened. It was just happenstance. It wasn't a plan. But once a writer like Lindsay thought it was a good idea, I thought that gave me the confidence to move forward. But otherwise, I would have been too reserved to ever do it.
Yeah. What would be, you have the book actually right there with you, sitting next to that Oscar. Tell us about the book, your writing style, and maybe you could share something quick from the book that will really intrigue folks, because I know they're going to be running out to get this book right away. Our audience is very responsive with things like that.
Fantastic. Great. Well, let's see. One of the things that in looking back and writing about things in general, one of the primary things to me was all the wonderful people I've gotten to work with. I've gotten to know. I mean, an extraordinary list of really famous people, so one of the stories I think I tell it in the book. I was doing Company, a Stephen Sondheim musical with Elaine Stritch. And Marty Stevens was in the play as well. And Marty Stevens' parents were the Skank family, the Skank movie people. And so Marty was never a name dropper, but she knew the world, and she was a good friend of Noel Coward and Marlene Dietrich and all of that. And so one evening, we were in San Francisco by this time. Marty popped her head in the dressing room. We were all getting ready for the play. And she said, "Oh, I have a friend who's here in town, and I'd love you to join us for dinner after the show if you can." And I had already made the plans. So I told Marty, "Thank you, Marty, but I can't. I've made other plans." And she said, "Oh, that's okay, another time." She never mentioned a name. So, and my dressing room door was always open. I learned from Elaine Stritch to keep my dressing room door open. So I said, "Thank you, Marty," and she went to her room, and I continued getting ready. And out of the corner of my eye, it was the hallway just here, I saw a blonde figure go by, and I thought, "Oh my God, that's Marlene Dietrich." And I said, "No." So my friends and I worked it all out. I got to join I was seeing my friends the next night. So I was able to have dinner and with Dietrich and Elaine and our just five of us. And she was in the wings watching over 2 nights watching the show. And she was an extraordinary woman to meet. Oh, yeah. She ended up staying an extra night just to spend time with us. And we had the most beautiful time over 2 nights with her. She was fantastic. She was really, she was an amazing woman. To me, I always thought if this is a pie and it's all a woman, she's every aspect of that circle. She's beautiful. She's an actress. She's a mother. She's creative. She's everything. She's everything. But it was a real treat more than that, to get to meet her.
That's extraordinary. What was the writing process like for you, George? Did you write and then pause and then go back to it? Or once you got going, were you all in and you just kept writing? What was the process like for you?
Well, the writing meant trying to remember things, so it wasn't a steady process moving forward. What Lindsay wanted me to do to help her write was to put things, talk, and just remember things and put them on tape for her, and that worked up to a point. And then at not far into the process, I got. It wasn't working for me. I thought it was better if I actually write things myself. So I sat at the computer, I discovered how much I loved writing. I didn't know it till that time. It was just, and how writing, how creative and kind of thoughtful, and your language and everything. So things, spurts and pieces moving forward, more forward in a comfortable way, and then having to stop and think again. So it wasn't a linear process in the sense that once you started, it just kept going, and you didn't. There were breaks because you had to stop and think.
And when you were doing that, was it bringing back these extraordinary memories for you? Like, oh yeah, I remember that. Boy, that was an amazing time in my life, and boy, I really enjoyed working on that production or with that team or that individual. That must have been really extraordinary for you to do that too.
Well, that's really my favorite part of the book, is remembering all of that and all of those wonderful people that I got to work with and got to meet. And I mean, I was so kind of floored by reminding myself of how many people I did know and had worked with, and it's nice to go back and revisit those really nice times, because they were really nice times. And so it was a lovely process altogether.
What are you hoping people are left with when they read that memoir of yours, George?
Well, with a younger audience, if there is a younger audience for this book, I don't know, but whenever I've had the opportunity to meet a younger audience, and now and again there's a Q&A that comes up and I can meet a younger, maybe a group who's doing West Side Story in the theater now. And it's always so much fun to visit with them. And one of the things that I always like to say, because they're professional people, so one of the things that comes to mind, and it's something I mentioned in the book, that I like to say to a young performer, is never give anyone power of attorney. Now, this sounds like a really corny thing to say, but the reason I think about it and say it is because there was a time in my career that I did give power of attorney to a woman who was my manager for a good time. And that was a mistake. No one should ever give power of attorney to anybody, because they legally can make decisions without even asking you. And sometimes those decisions can be the wrong decision, as they turned out to be. That's how they turned out. They were not good decisions on my behalf. So I always like to raise that issue with a younger audience, so that going forward they don't make the same mistake. But in terms of what I want people to think about or take home, so to speak, it's just I think it's gratitude. I've been so lucky in so many ways, and I'm grateful.
Yeah. The blessings in your life absolutely have been extraordinary. Merlin in Canada asks, are you still acting and dancing in various ways, shapes, and forms?
Well, I don't consider myself retired, but I guess I am. So it wasn't a choice. It's just that things change, your interests change, and your feelings about that also change. It isn't. It's no longer the vital sort of driving force in me that it was when I was younger. And I'm glad that things change, because it's kind of healthy. So I still exercise. Exercise is really vital to me. I don't feel good without it. But I don't go to dance classes per se. I go to the gym and I have my own routine, but I end my routine with dance, exercise, stretches, and so on, to stay long and vertebrae separated and all of that. So again, it's not a dance class. I wish I was taking dance class because that's the best. But again, just exercising is still very important to me.
Have you had opportunities over the years? You mentioned some wonderful pieces of advice for those that might be reading the book that are in younger generations. Have you had an opportunity to mentor and teach others along the way?
No, I've never been a mentor or a teacher. I've had occasion to speak to younger audiences, and they would ask me questions. So that kind of exchange with young people I've had a number of times. I've always really, really enjoyed it. There's something so great about connecting with a younger audience because we appreciate each other, and it's a really genuine exchange.
Absolutely. When you look back at this extraordinary life and career, as you've done in this book and continue to, all of the accolades, the awards, not any of the reason why you've done what you've done. You do what you do for the love of it. This is what came naturally for you, and you put in again all the years and the toil, and it's been highly recognized and rewarded. And so I think they're making popcorn for you in the microwave oven. It should be ready soon. When you look back at it all, what are some of those joys and blessings that come to mind for you when you look at the scope and the breadth of your career, your life? And the book is a wonderful way to express that with the public at large in your words and from your feelings. But when you do it yourself, George, what are some of those blessings and joys that come to mind for you?
Well, again, I'm probably repeating myself, but the blessings and the joys have been people.
Yeah.
Associates, friends. Friends are so important. I love my friends. I have some incredible friends. So it's that. I think no matter where we go or what we do, ultimately it's about people. If I went to Japan to work on something, the thing that would make the difference to me would be the incident itself. But the thing that would make the difference is the people. And so it's the people, it's personal relationships, and it's the kindness of people as well that makes the difference in any endeavor. It's people, friendships, love. Yeah.
Anything that you learned about yourself during the last year or so through the pandemic and through, the social distancing and all of that? There's been so many teachable moments in our lives about being unified and more compassionate and more empathetic and loving towards one another, and a time to be more reflective and look in the mirror and see what we want to do with our lives going forward. Have you had any of those teachable moments and anything that you've sort of discovered about yourself during this unusual time that we've all experienced collectively, George?
I've again, it comes back to people. Because we have not been able to see our friends with the pandemic, and everybody is being cautious, as they should be. So I had dinner with a really wonderful friend last night. I haven't seen her for a year, but we finally got together, and we haven't seen each other because of the pandemic. We've both had our vaccinations, so we felt safe having dinner with other very carefully. But because few friends have not been able to be in the same room with each other, it's people, it's friendships, and with the warmer weather, spring and soon it'll be summer. This kind of weather, I always love this time of year because it sounds corny to say, but it really is kind of a rebirth. You see the fresh green on the trees, and things are starting to blossom and bloom. And I always love this time of year, and it's kind of what's happening with. We hope with the pandemic as well, because we are going to be able to. We all have to work on it together, but we will survive, and the world will survive this pandemic. But it's just because we have not been able to visit with friends. So again, it comes back to people. So what I've missed not being able to travel, again, to see friends, to be in another part of the world and visit other parts of the world. But again, just here in town, to not be able to see friends or family. We're all isolated. And I think that one of the things I think this has made us feel is how important we are to each other. We can't take it for granted because we're all so important to each other. And I thought to myself, with this, with spring and things blooming again, our friendships can kind of do that again too. But we have to take advantage of it. And this time around, so to speak, not that nobody has not appreciated things, but I think now is the time to be awake enough to, because it's been a difficult year, to appreciate the good things and each other. Yeah.
Beautifully said, my friend. Absolutely beautifully said. Just a real continued reflection of who you are, George, and the wonderful heart and soul that you have. And you've expressed that so beautifully on stage and in film and television and so much more. One last thing, somebody, I believe it was Willie in Holland, asked, is there a George Chakiris bucket list? Are there still things that you have that you want to do that you haven't tapped into yet, of all the many things you've had an opportunity to do?
Well, I'll tell you, it's interesting that somebody before asked me if I was still wanting to work as an actor or a dancer and so on. I've recently, maybe just in this past year, because it's been a strange year, I started to think about acting again. Because I think I would approach it differently. I would be interested in a different way for different reasons. And therefore, I think maybe I could bring something more to that part of me than I ever did before. So that is a fresh, interesting kind of thought to me. And that's something I would love to do, to get back in. It doesn't have to be a starring role, none of that, just a role that feels good and is about something that matters.
And that's what it's all about. Exactly. Something that matters, that has positive impact. And your extraordinary work and body of work and legacy is there, and it's intact, and it's also in cement too at Grauman's. So it's you are a delight. You are a pleasure. I really hope if you're on the East Coast, or if I'm on a television shoot, perhaps out in the LA area, that we get a chance to break bread. That would be a real pleasure, George. You were really,
yes.
You were amazing. And I hope that this show, the Jim Masters Show Live, met whatever expectations that you had, and that you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you.
Well, I want to tell you, I have really enjoyed. You are so wonderfully articulate. I am as articulate beyond anyone, seriously, anyone I know. And I get you, because of what you do, you need to be articulate, but you are in the most beautiful way. Thank you.
Oh, that is my pleasure. And somebody else who just wants to say have a good evening and stay well is our friend George Burns is in the house.
Oh my God, George. There he is. Yeah.
Never had a chance to work with him, huh?
No, I'll tell you, I saw him. I was at a Christmas party at Frank Sinatra's house some years ago. And as I was arriving, George was coming out. So I never got that. That's the only time I ever saw him. But it was a great evening. But there he is. He was amazing. Oh, God. I love George Burns.
Really? Yes. Yeah. Always dapper with a cigar. So he wishes you well. We will keep the porch light on for you. You're welcome back on the show anytime, George. And best of luck with the book and continued success with everything. And just want to show you a couple of fine words from our lovely viewers. Thank you, George. This is from Juanita, who's watching where it's already tomorrow in South Africa. Thank you, George, for spending time with us and sharing your stories and talents. It was a beautiful conversation. Keep well. And Linda in St. Augustine, Florida. Thank you, George, for sharing your life story with all of us. Willie in Florida, she's in Holland, that is, the Netherlands. I am very glad with this, she says. Kathy Short, who's in Cleveland. Thank you, George. It has been a pleasure listening tonight. Austin Field, who's a big fan of West Side Story as well, says, another excellent show. Thank you very much, Gary Troya in Iowa. Lovely, George. Thank you for sharing your evening with us as well. Marilyn, who's a big fan of the Hallmark Channel and those heartwarming stories, says, you would make a great Hallmark actor on the Hallmark Channel. So anybody from Hallmark listening, give George a call. Crystal says, thank you, George, for sharing your memories. You have a remarkable career. Joe Megan B, thanks for joining us, Joe Megan B. We love you being here. Thank you, George. It has been an honor. Kunbi says, love you, George. I hope you take care and stay safe. And Christine Clifton in North Carolina says, George, thanks so much for sharing so many stories of your life and career with us tonight. You have truly had a magnificent career. It was thrilling to have you with us. Lovely to you. And Kunbi says, please come back to the UK. You were in the UK.
Oh my God, the UK.
Future. Yeah. And Sharon says, I will never forget you in West Side Story. So lots of levity coming your way on the show here at the Jim Masters Show Live. Thanks for all the time. We really appreciate it, George. You have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And this was a true honor and delight.
I'll tell you, it was so great to be with you and to be sort of worldwide, so to speak. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And all the levity, right?
All that levity.
We could use some more levity. You take care, and you be well. And again, truly an honor and a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye now.
Okay. Bye-bye.
The incredible Oscar winning and Golden Globe winning and just an all-around true gentleman, isn't he? We're talking about George Chakiris now. You had an opportunity to learn a little bit more about him. Maybe you've always been an extraordinary fan of his work, dancing prowess, his acting capabilities, and so much more. You've seen him so many productions, and he's a real treasure, a Hollywood treasure, a film treasure, a stage treasure, and so much more. You're very welcome, Sharon. Thank you, Jim and George. But maybe you got a chance to learn a little bit more about the man behind all of the incredible productions. Well, you can learn even more if you'd like to with the book. Again, the book really details a lot about his life, which I think is really extraordinary. My West Side Story, a memoir, George Chakiris. And I know for many of you, these stories and these wonderful tales certainly brought back a lot of memories for you. And I think his being so open to share it, he mentions that he hasn't necessarily formally taught, but in a way he is a teacher, isn't he? Because so many people have been inspired by him and the people that he's worked with all of these opportunities and all of these, treasures of productions he's been a part of, and all of the events he's been a part of and the people he's worked with. And of course, he mentioned his beloved friendship with the one and only Rita Moreno, who we love as well here on the show. Boy, how much fun it would be to have her as a guest, huh? It would be a riot. She's just a treasure. So there you go, folks. You got a chance to really enjoy somebody who you've probably followed for many years and learn a little bit more. And again, if you'd like to learn even more, you can go to his website too, georgechakiris.com. It's an extraordinary website, all kinds of photos and wonderful stories. And of course, the book as well, My West Side Story. He really opens up even more about his experiences, not just with West Side Story, but life as well. The love in your childhood, George Chakiris. I'm sure for many, Willie, for many. Juanita says, George is a wonderful gentleman. Great episode once again, Jim. My pleasure. And you have a wonderful night in South Africa there. And Merlin says, what a nice guy, isn't he? I know it's a delight. We love, when we have great guests on the show, but it's always wonderful too. I always knew George was nice. I've always heard so many epic things about him, but I know for you, it's probably refreshing that he matches what you hoped, right? As far as warm and welcoming and funny and talented. I would say that a couple of other people that match that I've had an opportunity to meet and or work with, and George actually had an opportunity to be on her show, is Carol Burnett. She was a delight and to talk with, and warm and funny and real and authentic and no airs about her. And Florence Henderson as well, who we certainly miss as well. And yes, an iconic actor, and Rita as well. Yeah, and you're very welcome, Sharon. You're very welcome. So gang, you can check out the book. Feel free to do that. And you can learn even more. My West Side Story, again, at Amazon and all the usual places, but of course his website as well. And we thank George Chakiris for spending all of this wonderful time with us this evening. If you would like to see this episode again, it's available on our YouTube channel in its entirety. Matter of fact, over 365 episodes of the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series is available for your binge watching. Somebody called me today, yesterday when we were on the air. They said I'm a very bingeable Mr. Lovity. I've never been called that before. A very bingeable Mr. Lovity. Well, I appreciate that. If you're on the YouTube channel, feel free to subscribe. We would love that, and share the channel, Jim Masters TV. It's always a pleasure. And again, you can see this episode with George Chakiris and all the episodes with our amazing guests and all the fantastic conversation we've had with all of you on our YouTube channel. We will be back tomorrow. Now, tomorrow we've got an amazing guest as well. We're going to be celebrating Bob Hope tomorrow. Martha Bolton is with us. She penned this epic book with Linda Hope, Bob's daughter. Dear Bob, Bob Hope's wartime correspondence with the GIs of World War II. Of course, you know, he did his shows overseas for many years and had incredible epic correspondence with the GIs, you know, sort of giving them uplifting, inspiring hope. And he was amazing. And Martha's going to be here. It's a new book. She's going to share so many stories and photos and wonderful times with us here on the Jim Masters Show live, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific tomorrow, right here for all of you. And you grew up watching Carol Burnett, of course. And Sharon says, I'm so glad I found your show. Thank you very much, Sharon. I appreciate that. We are here every single night live, 7 p.m. Eastern. Today, we did 2 shows. George is a wonderful gentleman. Great episode. Once again, Jim, thank you very much, Juanita. He certainly is. You grew up with Bob Hope, and you'll enjoy that show tomorrow. Willie, thank you very much. So glad you enjoyed the show. Christine in North Carolina says, Jim, George certainly is a treasure. It was an honor for you to have this beautiful conversation with him and for us to interact. He's an incredible talent, really great show. Night, Jim and all. You are very welcome. Christine Ann Wozniak in Jacksonville, Florida has this wonderful comment. 2 great shows in one day. Thank you, Jim, for a wonderful Saturday. Wishing everyone a good night filled with awesome dreams. Absolutely. We appreciate that very, very much. You have a good evening. And Kathleen in New York City. Thanks, Jim. Enjoy the rest of your night. Good night, all, and stay safe. And Linda says, good night, Willie. Good night, Mr. Lovity. Good night, all of the Lovities. Just want to show you this poem that one of our Lovity viewers sent in, wonderful poet Amy. She said this, and this is really beautiful. She goes, the world needs more love, more levity to go around. Showing more compassion, more goodness can be found. Jim Masters is the perfect host with a heart made of pure gold, creates a wonderful space where kindness is true and bold, spreading love and levity, creating levity for all. Positive vibes and conversation can be found in Lovity Hall. Welcoming to all his guests, positivity is front and center. International audience of Lovities makes this show a proven winner. And we thank Amy for sending that in and writing that. She's a blessed poet. Yeah, and that really is so beautiful. Kathy Short, thank you very much. Sounds wonderful. You'll be back tomorrow. Good night to you as well. 2 shows today. This is really a beautiful day. I just want to show you, don't forget to smile. We say that at the end of every show. Don't forget to smile and share the smile with the world. It's the best contagion out there. Don't forget to share the Lovity I always say that at the end of the show as well. And don't forget to find your Zen place. I'm here in the Northeastern United States. We're a couple of blocks from the ocean here. Mine is first with loving family and friends. You heard George talk a lot about family and a lot about friends and how much they mean to him. Same with me, family and friends, numero uno. Then my writing, cycling, music, as well as the ocean. Swimming, surfing, boogie boarding, sailing it. Grew up near it and love the ocean. And of course, love my work in television and radio and stage, all these years. True blessing, and do what you love, and love what you do is essential in life. So those are some of my Zen places as well. Don't forget, the Jim Masters Show Live is here for you, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, every day, with inspiring conversations and great entertainment, amazing guests, live viewer interaction, levity and levity. And we love having all of you here. One last thing that we do on the show before we wrap. We always show this. I got this on a family vacation in Newport, Rhode Island. We say, don't forget to love one another, take care of one another, breathe from the diaphragm. It's such a good thing to do. And as we say, this show is welcoming to everybody, all genders, political views, religious views, zip code, income level, height, weight, eye color, none of that matters. You're always welcome. So relax and enjoy. And remember that you are of great value as well. And let's unify in an empathetic way and come together and relax. So we thank once again our wonderful guest, George, for joining us on the show. He was really a blessing. We thank all of you. Thanks for all these wonderful comments, everybody. Good night, Mona, there in Louisiana. Good night, Jim, and all the lovelies. Truly enjoyed your 2 shows today. Hope you and all the lovelies have a great night. Hugs and loves. Beautiful poem. And Crystal in Connecticut says, good night, Jim, and everyone. Thank you for another amazing show. The pleasure was all mine. You guys, you take well and be well. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Don't forget, also coming up in just a couple of weeks, Dee Wallace. The wonderful Dee Wallace is joining us as well. She is another Hollywood legend and treasure. And if you missed any of the episodes of our series, they're all on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. You're all a blessing. We love you all. Thanks for sharing, telling everybody about the Jim Masters Show Live, sharing the links, tagging, posting. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Jim Masters TV. Love to see you there. I wish you nothing but the beautiful evening, the rest of your evening. Good night and rest well. You too, Sharon, and all of the lovely viewers watching around the world. Good night, gang. You're the very best. You take care. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.